If you've ever wanted to take your side hustle and turn it into a full-time, profitable, handmade or ceramic or jewelry company, this episode is for you. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy. And I'm super excited because one of our Momentum student graduates, Gitti Lindner of Cinder Ceramics, is joining me on the show today. And you are going to love what she has to say. She is a brilliant designer. She fell in love with ceramics a while ago, and she was able to take a hobby, turn that into a successful side hustle. And then within 1 year, semi-retire from her full-time job. She's only doing it, she's going to share with you why in this episode, as a part-time thing, and turn it into a 6+ figure business in just a year. I'm super excited for her. Listen to this episode. You'll be inspired just as much. All right, I am so excited because I have Gitti Lindner on the show today, and she is a ceramicist from Cinder Ceramics. Gitti, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to interview you because you just spent a year coaching with us in our Momentum program, formerly called SOS. And since you're a ceramicist, it's a little bit of a different kind of business than we had traditionally been mentoring. And so I wanted to interview you because you've had some really great results. I heard, or we know that you just semi-retired from your day job, which is super exciting. So I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And just some really great things have been happening in your business. So thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks again for having me. I'm really excited.
So let's just get started. I want to hear a little bit more about your business and how you got into ceramics and why you decided to launch Cinder Ceramics.
Yeah. So, well, actually, what's funny is I was actually making jewelry, doing lost wax design, in a weekend course for a couple of years. So I started off with that on the side, just as a hobby. And then the way I ended up in ceramics was I wanted to have a log with tea lights on it for my fireplace. And I couldn't find one anywhere on the market. I searched high and low and just couldn't find it. So at first I thought I was going to get one made out of bronze since I had been working with bronze. And looking at the cost and, very different from making a necklace, right? A log. And I thought, okay, this is just not doable. So I had a friend who said, well, have you ever tried clay? I'm like, no, I haven't done anything with clay, but, hey, why not? And then I could even make it white. Mm-hmm. So I went to the local ceramic supply shop, Alpha Fired Arts here in Sacramento. They have a really well-known artist, Tony Natsoulas, who does open studios on Wednesdays. And you can come in with an idea and tell him, here's what I want to make, and he'll help you figure out how to make it. So that's literally what I did. And I ended up going into the studio. He showed me how to make this log. And I ended up making this white ceramic log with little tea light holders that fits in the fireplace. And I don't know, I fell in love with just the whole tactile feel of the clay, it's forgiving, and I just fell in love with it immediately. And so immediately I kept going. And funny thing about that log is 2 years ago for the winter collection, I got contacted by Anthropologie. Oh. And they actually carried that log as their fireside collection, one of the items for their collection that winter. So it's like the first thing I ever made, and it ended up as an Anthropologie product. So I thought, okay, this was pretty awesome.
That is so exciting. I mean, Anthropologie, I could totally see it too, because it's such a great fit for their store.
Yeah, so it was pretty great. And so I just started making from there. And then of course, I've always been like a serial entrepreneur in my mind, even though I didn't know anything about business, because my day job is very different. My background is languages. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to turn this into a business. So I started this Etsy shop called Would Be, with the letter B, good, would be good. And everything looked like white wood, right? And I'm like, okay, that got kind of old kind of fast. So I wanted to make other things. I'm like, well, that's not wood. So So in 2013, I changed the name to Cinder Ceramics, and that allowed me to expand outside of the wood line. And I just kept making stuff. And yeah, it's been, let's see, so that's 7 years now. And at this point, I just this month semi-retired. I'm still working a couple of hours a day, but I don't need to, but I'm doing it because my boss is an old-time friend, and I don't dislike that job, but it's we'll see how long that lasts, because I'm very busy with the clay.
That's so fun. So you're a linguist, or what do you do in the other job?
Yeah. So with what I'm doing now, it's language testing, because my background is in linguistics, and I taught ESL for several years, and I was in college publishing for many years, and now it's language assessments. So it's actually a Samsung-owned company. They're only U.S.-owned company.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So very, very different part of the brain.
Right. But that's good, because you're exercising both, and like
Yep.
sides, I think it's really good to have the balance between both, because it helps you become better at business in general.
Totally. Yeah. I've learned so much on the business side, but now I like the balance better. It's like, 90-10. So.
So how are you balancing the day job with your ceramic business? Because you have blown up over this last year.
It has. It's crazy. So, it's weird. I really believe in synchronicity, and things have just come along at just the right time. And I'm really into the whole, Vishen Lakhiani and the whole, Mind Valley and controlling your future type of a thing. And so as I just felt like, okay, this is just I'm going to let it organically happen. But as opportunities come along and as things start growing, I just go with it. I like go with the flow, and I don't say no to opportunities. And so I just started working harder and harder, all hours of the day and night, basically around the day job. Like 5 a.m. I'm starting working, and there's so many nights when I fell asleep at my desk working on a clay with my glass of wine and Netflix going, and I'm like sleeping while I'm making a toothbrush holder. So it's like hilarious. Whatever it takes, to get it done. But this last year, and this was just before I joined your SOS program. So things were really taking off. And I'm from Germany originally, mm-hmm. and I try to go back to Europe a couple of times a year, except for this year, of course. But I visited studios in Germany, in Norway, in Sweden. I fell in love with this Scandinavian model of the boutique working studio that they have over there. And I just knew, this is what I want to do. I want to have a Scandinavian style studio that is a functional studio, but I want to be able to have workshops, have it as a shop if I, open sometimes. And as business started growing, I thought, okay, I'm going to go to Scandinavia. I'm going to go visit Sweden and go visit with some of the ceramics shops and learn from them. So I did that last May. And I got back from the trip, and I had some great meetings there, some amazing people. And I was like, yep, definitely this is what I'm going to do. And my goal was I wanted to be able to retire within a year.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so then I got back, and for years until I opened my own studio at the end of August this last year. So it's very new. And if I hadn't done it, don't think I would have been able to continue. So it was one of those weird things that just, mm-hmm. Everything clicked. But up until that point, I literally was working at home on this desk, schlepping boxes of clay back and forth to various studios, firing. And it was like, an entire van full of stuff that sometimes broke on the way. Oh my gosh. It was crazy. That was 7 years of this, right? So finally I was like, all right, this is getting really ridiculous because I was firing almost every day, hogging the kiln, firing everybody else's stuff plus mine. Like, I need my own space. So I got back from Sweden and I put it out there to the universe and I said, okay, I need my own space. I need my own studio. I'm just going to do it. And literally within 2 weeks, I hopped on Craigslist that I had not been on for years. Literally, I found a place 2.5 blocks from my house that was perfect. Like the most beautiful little commercial space so I can walk or ride my bike, and it just worked out. And so I took the plunge and got the space, and I'd been listening to your podcast, for probably 1.5 years at that point, copious notes in every notebook, And I just thought, oh, this is the best thing. Because I was like, well, the business is growing, but I'm only working in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so wanted some help with working on it and figuring out now what, now that this is growing, what do I do with this? And how do I put it all together?
And is that why you ended up joining us for SOS? We're calling it, we just rebranded the name to Momentum, so just to clear up. But is that the reason why you joined it? Because you needed some help, like getting other eyes on your business and not working so much in it?
Yeah. And, because you have such great insight. And even though it was, really for jewelry designers, it was so applicable to everything I was doing. And it was such good practical advice. I got so much out of all the podcasts, and I decided if I'm going to invest in the studio and, the additional expense, I may as well just go all the way and invest in a really good program that has coaches that are experts, because, you can make stuff, but that doesn't mean you're an expert in all the things, right? All the things that go with it, running a business successfully, and knowing how to evaluate profit first, and not run, because I think those first years, I probably was like so operating at a loss.
It's hard to track it too, because you're probably just like dumping money back in, not really taking good track of your books or whatever it is.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great. But and things so once I got into that studio, one of my best friends, so I'm also in a band, I'm in an all-girl rock band.
Oh my gosh, I am so envious of you. I have a secret desire to be the lead singer in a band.
Oh my gosh, I would highly recommend it. There's nothing more fun than being in a band with all girls. It's just like, it's so much fun. But one of my best friends, who is the singer in the band, she ended up being in the space across from me. She's painting now. And so, we both ended up in there. We had our big opening show at the end of February. And then, of course, COVID hit. So, but at that point, once COVID hit, like, things completely exploded in my shop. I think that month I was up 600% over the year before. Like, I was mind-boggling, what was happening with the business. So
I want to hear a little bit more about that, but I want to take you back a little bit more, because I know that, like, one of the struggles that you just mentioned was that you didn't have a space. So you're like, in order to do this, I have to fully commit and get my own space.
Yeah.
You were working in your business a lot, so you weren't like kind of working strategically. And what was like happening when you were working in your business all the time? Or were there any other struggles or things that were becoming harder to manage as your business started to grow?
Yeah, everything was becoming harder. It just, because I had so many orders coming in. And I mean, if you think about it, like $10,000 a month of clay orders, and like I make toothbrush holders that are like $17 a piece, and my most expensive item, I think, is $125. So that's a lot of clay.
Yeah.
And because it's all made on demand, if I mess up, I have to remake it. So there's like no room for error too. So that was a struggle. Just keeping up basically was like my main goal. And I wasn't ready to hire any help at that point because I didn't know how to hire help or, what they could help me with. And one of your episodes, you had the best exercise for figuring out where to get help. So I've got that now, and some of the coaches I spoke with too were really helpful on that.
So, but you've hired an assistant right now, right?
I have somebody who comes in and helps with packing and shipping. She's awesome. She's awesome. And, we keep our distance. I've got different tables. So she works over there, but oh my gosh. And that's honestly, that's my least favorite thing is the packing and shipping. So I would much rather be making and producing. So that's been terrific. Yeah.
One of the things I think the first piece of advice I always give to people is what is the lowest leverage thing that you hate to do the most? That's the first thing that you should hire out, because a lot of people want to go to the top. They want to hire out the sales process or the marketing process. And I don't really think that that's the best place to start, because I do believe strongly as a business owner that you need to understand it before you can have someone else come in, because no one will ever, no matter what people think, no one's ever going to be as good of a salesperson as the founder or the person who's super passionate about their product. So yeah, I love that about it. And I love that you have someone helping you with that, because that is really time consuming, especially, if you think about volume. I was on your website and looking at your products because I'm about to buy some of them, which and they aren't very expensive. And so that's a lot, $10,000 a month is a ton of units that you're shipping. It's busy. Yeah.
So what I ended up having to do was, over the years, I've had to take claycations. Yeah. Where I'm if I'm not going to Europe, then I'm going to do a claycation. And literally I would, for an entire week, take a week off and be busting my butt, just trying to catch up on orders. And I'm always behind. My friends and family, they all know. It's yeah, I know you're always behind, I'm almost caught up. They're no, you're not, you'd never be, but it's all good. I love it. And my customers are just amazing.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing, have you thought about, now I'm going into coaching mode, just getting someone to help you with some of the clay pieces, shaping, or is there a way that you can create molds like jewelry or no?
So yeah, actually my friend Mary, she's done packing and shipping, and I've also had her help occasionally with some of, I do the little hearts. Mm-hmm. And I have a handmade mold that I made for those. So I've had her weigh out clay balls, really fun stuff, for her. So she's weighed out clay balls and, press the mold. And so I've started, once we're able to actually be around people again, I'd like to have her come more and have another helper come in and be able to do more. But since we're in this weird time right now, I'm limiting exposure at this point. But yeah, definitely.
I wonder if there's a way you could have them do it at home and bring it back, or does the clay get too dry or something?
Actually, no, they could put it in a bag, and brilliant idea. I'm all, yeah.
Ceramicists out there who need some help.
Oh my gosh, that's right. And my parents were always offering, so I'm I just thought of a great chore for my parents.
Your family business now.
It is now. It's a family business, exactly.
So you've been building a huge audience. I was on your Instagram. Your posts are getting crazy engagement. I mean, and you have a decent following, but it's not giant. It's not huge. You have 20,000 followers, and you get so much engagement on your posts. And because of that, I was doing my pre-episode stalking, and I was checking out your shop. You're getting a ton of 5-star reviews. How have you been able to deliver? What have you done to deliver such great service and to your audience? I mean, I think I can guess based on looking, but I want to hear from you, what you've done.
I should start with the people, who they are. So I don't know if you are familiar with Ray Dunn.
I heard that you are replacing her. You're one of the people that people are going to when they can't find a Ray Dunn piece. So
Yeah, so she's amazing, and so the little background on her, like she's so huge now. She has a manufacturer. Now she's writing books. She's
Mm-hmm.
humongous in all the stores. And I actually met her a couple of times, and she's in Berkeley. She's super sweet. And when I first found her, I thought, oh, this is so neat having words on clay, and I thought this is adorable. And I kind of took that idea and tweaked it in my own way, with stamped words. And so it allows for a lot of customization. And so at some point, I don't know how or when it happened, but there were some followers of hers that discovered me. And I didn't realize that people do this, but like they're collectors out there of her stuff. I had no idea. And so I was like, why are all these Ray Dunn people like following me? I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, she's pretty awesome. But, I guess my stuff, some of it is a little similar. And I just started getting this big following of these Ray Dunn followers. And then they started messaging me about, well, can you create this for me? Can you make this? Because I do a lot of, like, at this point, maybe a third of my stuff is custom. And I love that. I love doing that. And I think that's part of why I've had so much growth, is because of personalizing it for the individual. And so I have a lot of customers who will design something and they'll say, I want this. And I'll be like, okay, I think I can do this. Let me give it a shot. And I have a few who actually design like whole collections. And then over the last year, I'm like, all right, you know what? So what I do is I'll make it for them. I'll throw it out on Instagram. And if people respond to it and are going crazy for it, I'm like, okay, I probably should add this to the shop. And so I'll add it to the shop and I name it after the customer. Like I have a woman named Bara who is, like, she created this new crown collection that I make, and Kara. And I tell them, like, and it's like Kara has like spreadsheets of stuff she wants to get from me. She's going to keep me in business for years. I love them so much.
Great. Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. And so, it's like so much of what is in the shop now has evolved because of them, things that the customers have designed and that other people have liked and wanted. So it's like, okay, over the years, it's evolved to become like fully customer centered. It's all about them and what they want and what will make them happy. And I communicate a lot with them, letting them know, if something's late or if it's going to be early. I send them pictures of like, here it is, it's shipping today. I'll do like a full-on photo shoot with their vase. I'm like, okay, this is why I'm so tired. But I love it, and they're so sweet. They're just so wonderful. There are so many amazing people out there, and like I'm blown away by those reviews too, because I'm like, gosh, it was the toothbrush holder, but I'm so glad it makes you so happy.
I think I'm like convinced to buy a bunch of sponge holders after like reading the
Oh my gosh,
sponge holders.
I know. I don't know. I don't even remember how that idea came to me, but how they get stinky, right?
Oh, yeah. I've had this conversation with Jason like a million times. I'm like,
squeeze the sponge out, right? Well, in this holder, there are holes on the bottom and the water flows out and it never gets stinky. I'm like, okay, so, and then, give me a squeeze me tight. I'm like, let's just have fun with it, right? And some of the expressions other people have come up with. So yeah, it's just, I love the interaction with people online. And there's not enough time to always bounce back and be fully. I try now to get back within 24 hours with everybody, but yeah, it's good. I love it.
Well, there's something that's really cool because I was watching some of your videos that you put on Instagram, because I didn't get that from I didn't know that about you, that you were like designing collections with your customers. And I would call it something different personally, because I think like, you're really the artist. They're coming up with the concept. So you're like creating their, like almost like creating the vision. So it's like almost like a collaboration where it's like an idea that you're designing. Cause I feel like you're still the designer of it, but it still like looks like you and your aesthetic and all those things. And the cool thing about this is that, you know, you're not only putting the customer completely at the center of your brand, which is something that we teach. It's a concept called putting that Donald Miller started in his building a story brand thing or program, not thing, in his program or concept. But the important piece of that is that like people feel so involved and connected to you because of that. And that gets them to just want to support you. And this is why you're having these like crazy months. Like people just want to support you.
They're amazing. Yeah, they really are. And then, was it a month and a half ago, I got contacted by TikTok.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, they invested like $350 million back into the economy by starting this learning fund. And they were reaching out to makers to be able to bring maker content, learning content online to their platform because they're trying to evolve as well. And so they actually paid me to make 40 videos. And it was a very short window of time. I was like dying, but it was, but it was really fun. Cause I just started filming myself at the studio while I was making stuff. And so it was 40 videos on how to do different things with the clay. And it's crazy because some of those things went viral and I'm like, how does that happen? I have no idea. Like this spoon rest, and I'm like, almost 200,000 views. And I'm like, this is really cool. Yeah, it's crazy.
On the TikTok platform?
On the TikTok platform. Yeah.
Wait, so quick question about that. Is that posted on your TikTok profile or are they doing it as like TikTok?
It's on TikTok. So it was they partnered with talent agencies to find, and there were different buckets. I fall under the DIY bucket. Mm-hmm. And so they reached out, they paid me to do this. And so it's my own site on TikTok. And I need to figure out now what am I going to do? I'm like, oh, okay, I should probably keep making more because, there's a lot of people like now following it. But what I really want to do is, and I've always had this idea, is the next thing I'm looking at doing is online courses. I have all these really neat ideas of things that I can show people how to make online, like vision bowls and like super cool stuff that I don't want to put on TikTok because it's hard to show that in, 50 seconds. Everything is at like super fast speed. But it was just a great opportunity and it was really neat being part of that. And it was just really flattering to be asked to be part of that as well. So
are you making sales from the TikTok videos?
Who knows? I've had a few of them that I put up on my Instagram site. And I know I've had people who have followed me on TikTok or say, oh, well, I wasn't on TikTok, but now I will be, and sometimes people will mention it. And so it's all kind of linked together. Mm-hmm. And I probably need to do a better job of linking it all together, but, but it all kind of ties. So very possibly because, actually, I'm guessing most likely because my biggest month ever was the month that I was on TikTok. So that month was almost 12,000, I want to say.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm still catching up on that month. That was last month.
That's so great. So speaking of that, and speaking of like big months and big results, like over this last year, like what are some of the big things that happened, or the big results that you got by really diving into your business, starting to work on your business a little bit more and implementing some of the stuff that you learned in the program? Because like something had to work, right? Because you are able to now semi-retire from your job. So I'm curious to hear what you've done and like what some of the outcomes were.
From things that I learned in the program? In
the program and beyond, like what have you done this year? So like,
yeah, so I think
contributes to that growth, I guess.
I think some of the key things that I've learned and that I've implemented, well, first of all, having the studio. because this is this private space. It's big, it's beautiful. I can go there any hour of the day. It's gated, so I feel safe even if I'm there late at night. But having that studio, my own space to go and work, is, first of all, the most amazing thing. And like I said before, I couldn't have done this if I didn't have that space. So I'm like, thank God that happened. And then also, some of the things I've learned, consistency. I wasn't always so good at posting on Instagram, and then that feeds to Facebook. And I was like, I'd post sometimes early on, and sometimes I wouldn't, and I'd take long breaks. But I've learned that, consistency is definitely key. And also being able to now start kind of delegating some of the work, and also building out systems. Thank you. So I've started building out systems, and I did my own taxes before, and now I have an accountant.
You're so grown up. I love it.
I know. I'm like baby stepping into this whole thing. And yeah, just, getting better at figuring it all out. Like with Inta was one of my coaches, and she's like, put a board up there and put things into buckets, and, know what your priorities are. And so I've got my board and my buckets, and just being able to figure out, all the different pieces of what I need to be working on, so that I don't let things slip through the cracks. And I'm going crazy with the clay.
Exactly.
But now that my parents are going to help me, it's like, well.
You're learning all sorts of things here. I came here to I'm like, you're like, I'm enlisting my parents to help me. I love it. So you talked about the TikTok thing, and I think that's a really unique way to kind of grow your audience, and you're expanding and cross-promoting and stuff like that. Have there been any other things that you've done that really you saw make a significant difference in audience building?
Yeah, so it's funny because last month, so my dad, he's so sweet. He watches every morning. He watches Good Day Sacramento show. So he emailed them and nominated me to be on the show. So then immediately he heard back, and they came and did a segment with me on their show. So I was on TV one morning, and so that was kind of cool. And I got a big flurry of activity after that as well. Yeah, so that was good. I did finally, my website, I'm on a platform called Weebly, and then Etsy is the shop link currently. I finally figured out MailChimp and how to get subscribers. So now I have subscribers and this growing list. And I started doing releases. So even though I'm, on Etsy and it's always open, I've been sort of figuring out, okay, releases are a good thing. So August 1st, I have several new releases coming. One of the collections two of the collections from two of the people that follow me and have designed some of my pieces or drew them, and I designed them. They have more pieces that are coming into the collection, and so I'm going to release those, because the last time I did this, I actually put my shop on a short vacation, and I announced on Instagram that I was going to open it up at this time on this day and release the Bara collection, and that was with the crowns. And oh my gosh, so people actually set their alarm clocks. It was so funny. And I opened up the shop, and literally within the first 20 minutes, it was like $1,000 in sales. And by the end of that day, it was 3,000.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I'd never experienced anything like that before. And I thought, I better get to work. So that is going to be August 1st again. I'm doing opening up 3 new collections. Halloween, I had no idea Halloween was such a thing, but it is. And people keep asking for all, these Halloween designs too. So I'm also trying to get some ready-made items done, and we'll be doing another release like that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah.
So I want to ask you one final question. Like, if you were to be speaking to either your younger self or someone who's interested in taking their part-time side hustle into a full-time business, what advice would you give them?
So my advice is everybody should have a side hustle, first of all. I've seen so many colleagues, and especially now, I should back it up and say I'm so grateful, given the scenario of millions of people, losing their jobs, losing their income, to be in this opposite position right now of just growth. And I think everyone should have, I think everyone has a skill, something, a special talent that they can use and build a side hustle. So everybody should start some side hustle and, really do something that is giving back, whatever that special talent is that you have, to help make the world a better place. And, there's so many great resources out there. Like your podcast is amazing, that help you figure out what to do with that talent, how to grow it, how to get it out there into the world. I'm also a big Kathy Heller fan. So
I love Kathy. I was on her podcast a lot.
I know. I actually flew out to LA for her very first in-person workshop.
Oh, she's amazing.
And she's awesome. So, but I think, just figure out what that is, that something that you can do, that you can give back, and turn it into a business, and learn business skills too, so that you can grow it and make money. And I think focus on the customer, focus on what you're giving to people, and if it brings them happiness, and it goes full circle, it comes around, right?
Yeah. So amazing. Well, Gitti, thank you so much for being here. Where can everyone find you?
I'm at cinderceramics.com. This is the website. And on Instagram, I'm at Cinder Ceramics, Facebook at Cinder Ceramics, TikTok at Cinder Ceramics. So
awesome.
The same name everywhere, easy to find, and it's all linked to you on the website. And then the Etsy shop, you can just go to the Cinder Ceramics site, subscribe, and then click on the shop link.
Thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited for all of the great things that are happening in your business.
Thank you so much. It's great talking to you, Tracy.
Thanks so much for watching this episode with Gitti. She's amazing. I am so excited to have her on the show. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure that you like the video and share this with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. And if you're interested in getting support just like Gitti did through our programs, I'd love to invite you to apply for a free business accelerator audit. You could head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/strategy to see what this audit is all about. It is designed for jewelry and creative product brands who are ready to elevate and scale their sales to multiple six figures and beyond. So if you're interested in learning more, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/strategy. Take care until next time.